What's up, folks? It's Fuzz here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Today is not going to be custom tactics. As I mentioned in last week's video, it was the last custom tactics for FIFA 22 because at this point FIFA 23 is quite literally like a week and a half away. So what we're going to be doing today is running through 5 of the best formations you can use at the start of FIFA 23. This is based on my testing for FIFA 21 and FIFA 22. Obviously, we don't know how the game's going to play. We don't know what the meta is going to be like. So there may be some tweaks, but basically, consistently the past 2 years, these 5 formations have worked absolute wonders for me at the start of the game. So hopefully they'll work for you in FIFA 23 too. If you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up on it. Hit that subscribe button if you're around here. And also, if I don't cover any formation you like to use, let me know in the comments down below what you'll be using at the start of the game. So the first formation to look at is actually going to be the 5-2-1-2. If you've been watching the channel at all this year, you'll know this is pretty much, I was going to say my favourite formation, definitely a top 2 at least, and it's just a very well-rounded system you can run. And the sort of pre-warning for all of this is obviously I'm on FIFA 22 with a lot of endgame cards. At FIFA 23, it's all going to be gold, maybe a hero here or there. So pretty much all the cards you'll be using at the start of the game won't be as high meta as these, but you will be able to like basically get the same power curve on it. So we know Mbappe gold at the start of the game is going to be amazing. So if you can afford him somehow, you'd be using him rather than his team of the season, that kind of thing. Essentially the goal, what we're going to do is run through personnel. So in this situation, the 5-2-1-2, you can sometimes get away with one fullback in the centre back, in this like centre back trio, but I recommend running 3 normal centre backs and then 2 wing backs. You don't want to try and use wingers at this point in the game. You do need it to be an actual wing back. Valverde actually is a centre mid in game, but should have the option to position change to right wing back in FIFA 23, and he would be amazing for this sort of system. You actually want, ignore the chemistry drop, you want your box-to-box players, your centre mids to be actual box-to-box players. You don't want them to be like a stay-back centre defensive midfielder like Kante. You want 2 core box-to-box players, and then your attacking trio up top is literally any 3 attackers you fancy. The whole thing with this system and why it works so good is the wing backs at the start of the game, at least in the past 2 years, have got into really aggressive positions that the full backs on a 4 at the back system don't track properly. So when you're in the build up and if you're not rushing the ball forward, you'll often find that someone's playing say 40 width on a 4-2-3-1. They have nothing that AI covers. AI will not cover the wing backs at all, and you'll have gaping space to play balls into, and then you can do for like an overpowered cross, you can do a cutback, you can under the byline, you can do whatever you want. So that's the 5-2-1-2. It's a really sturdy system. Even if it's not your main, you definitely need to have it in your lineup. Second system we're going to take a look at is the 4-3-2-1, and this is more one of the fun ones that you can get away with. I'd say for the first 2 to 4 weeks of the game, pretty damn consistently. You can see there's no defensive midfielder, but you do want to run basically, you want 1 defensive midfielder if you can with 2 box-to-box players. There's a little bit of variance we'll discuss, but the backline's self-explanatory. You want 2 centre backs and 2 full backs. You don't want to mess around here with any full back to centre back really early in the game. As I say, you can get away with running 3 box-to-box players if you like. For me, what I found last year, the best setup was actually using Barella is going to have to be used as my defensive midfielder here. He is high, which isn't, not, you'd probably want a medium attack and high defensive, but you'd play him centrally and be all good. The right sided player would be your box to box, in which case this could be Pedri or Verity, either or. And then the left centre mid, you'd actually use a cam. I'll use Joko for an example here. You'd use a cam and you'd put them on get forward and get into the box across. So it essentially plays as a weird mix of like a 4-2-2-2 or a 4-4-2 with how the team moves in game. Sorry, not 4-4-2, a 4-3-3. It's very bit of a unique system, but obviously it's variation and you can change it depending on your play style. The front 3 self-explanatory. You just get the 3 best attackers you can on chemistry and play them there. What you might want to do is not run all 3 on getting behind. You might want to run the striker on balance or as a false 9, and then get the left forward and right forward on stay central and getting behind, and they'll be your main goal scorers. Also, an extra note on this is, depending how you like to play, it's normally advised to have both players on stay back on the system, especially early on, because it's a bit better to play safe while having, I guess, a left forward and right forward. So it's not a right wing or a right mid. Like, they're going to be very high up the pitch unless you call them back, which just drain stamina a stupid amount at the beginning of the game. So either, I personally would play with 1 going, 1 balanced and 1 stay back, but if you feel like you need 2 for the security, you can play 2 full backs on stay back. The third system is one that can be very powerful, and it's the 4-1-2-1-2 Narrow. This system has huge potential at the beginning of every single game, especially as you're learning the meta. So last year, for example, I'm going to move Ronaldo Sanchez into right centre mid, because that's how, this is essentially how you would kind of line it up in game. Something along the lines of this. Again, backline self-explanatory, 2 centre backs, 2 full backs. You don't want to mess around with anything different. You do want a DM. I'm using Barella in this case, but like I say, a medium attacking high defensive player would probably be better here. Last year, sorry, the start of FIFA 22, you could actually run this centre defensive midfielder on drop between defenders, the right centre mid on stay back, while having both fullbacks on balanced, the left centre midfielder on get into the box for cross and get forward, and it was super overpowered with how it transitioned in game, how you control the game, your passing options, the team movement, everything was absolutely insane. It was a broken formation for I'd say for 2 months or so with that system. So and even now the basic setup would be maybe a stay back on your defensive midfielder, run your right centre mid balanced, see him again, get this guy get forward in the box for cross and get forward, and you're laughing again. Attacking trio. You'll find that the systems that have 2 strikers and a cam, especially for the past 2 years, I'll say, and I expect it to go into FIFA 23, it's not so much overpowered, but it offers a bit more reliability as opposed to a system with just say 2 strikers and 2 wide men, or 1 striker and 2 wide men. It just that triangle and how the cam specifically, if you can get a high rated cam, Messi would be a good example. His pace is a bit lower in this game coming into FIFA 23, but his movement and his AI will still be fantastic. Low work rates though, just keep that in mind. That against a normal goal defender and how that movement will work, you'll often find them break into space. So if you do run this system, you want to spend big on your cam, basically. Formation number 4 is the kind of safe haven, is the 4-2-3-1. This is a good starting system because it allows you just to have a really nice balance on your team. I'm going to swap them around a bit of how the personnel would look in game. Again, we don't change anything on the defense. You want 2 centre backs, 2 full backs. You have 2 options essentially when it comes to defensive midfielders. You can either run 2 box-to-box players like we have in this case in Barella or Renato Sanchez, or you could replace, I'm going to use Kante as another example, you're going to replace Barella with a Kante, or I don't know what Yaya Touré's work rates are going to be. Maybe someone like that who's medium. Yeah, it will be Toure in hindsight. Well, he's going to be high probably. Basically, you want a medium attacking high defensive player here on the other option, so that will be your stay back, and then your right hand side will be your box to box that roams forward, and then your attacking forward is essentially what's normally best to do is have a starting formation that has like either 2 strikers and 2 wingers, or a striker cam and then 2 wingers, because for your wide cams you do need that bit of pace. So in this case you'd be using Messi centrally, Joe Cole, and then Dybala out wide for the pace, and then Mbappe up top. This system is basically like it's secure is the best way I can describe it. If you use it at the start of the game, you hopefully won't concede too many goals unless you're really careless and awful at defending. You might struggle in the build-up sometimes depending on how the meta is, and it can take a little bit of tweaking to find the best way to get forward, but it's a way to make sure you stay in a game pretty much while being able to have attacking outlets, and that's why so many people like using it. The last formation of the 5 is the 3-5-2, which really became prevalent this year, and also in FIFA 21 it was big. Like what people were using was 1 centre back with 2 fullbacks either side of him, or a fullback either side, 2 fullbacks in total. And I prefer, honestly, at the start of the game to use a 5-back. It gives you that little bit of security with the wing backs, and as I say, and it still stands true now, this right mid and this left mid, I don't find them anywhere near as impactful as a actual wing back. So a left wing back or a right wing back would be. For whatever reason, obviously it makes sense because it's 2 different positions, but EA have coded the AI differently on them, so you rely on like these wide men here being on cut inside and getting behind and come back on defense to be impactful, whereas a wing back you can basically just put them on balance and they're going to get involved with attacks pretty much endlessly and offer you an option, and they're still going to offer the defensive capability. So this formation is more so depending on how the meta plays. It would be my these weren't done in a particular order, but this would be my least favorite of the 5 to go with at the start of the game if I had to put it in a ranking order. Essentially you want 3 centre backs, 2 box to box players, the left mid right mid situation, probably 1 wing back and 1 winger. So maybe on the right hand side we say that Valverde might be able to play a right wing back in a starting system, or however it would work for chemistry, someone like that who can play wing back, and then an actual attacker on the left side, and then your normal trio. Again, we've got this triangle of the cam and the 2 strikers that we've been discussing. Just to throw out an honourable mention before we finish, because it is another formation that will depend heavily on how the meta plays. If I can find it, I've gone the completely wrong way. Here we go, the 4-2-2, and the players are pretty much on how we'd line them up anyway. This system in FIFA 21 was amazing for me at the start of the game. How the team flowed well with how the AI were coded. everything was smooth. I had transitions. I was solid defensively because I had one wing back on stay back, one on balance. I had one centre midfielder on stay back, one on balance. So the team just had passing outlets and movement options whilst not getting too like over the top on like sending people forward. And then you just had amazing movement from the front four. It wasn't as strong in FIFA 22. I'll be honest. It took, I'd say, 3 to 4 months before I found a comfortable system with this, just because of the slight changes they made. So it's an honourable mention, and it had this time last year it would have edged in over the 3-5-2. I would have preferred it, but with how things were in FIFA 22, I think the 3-5-2 would be the 5th best, and then this is kind of like your wild card, depending on how the game goes. But I say that's my 5 recommended formations for going into the start of the game. Essentially, for me, I know for sure that I'm going to have a 5-2-1-2 set up, because that might likely be my main formation at the start. A 4-3-2-1 set up, and then a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. They will be the 3 I'll be using at the start of the game for sure. I know some people like the 4-3-1-2 rather than the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, but for me that is better at a later stage of the game, or basically once you've had the Christmas promos. I find the 4-3-1-2 will be a lot better, but I think you need that defensive midfield at the start of the game. But I say that's the recommendation. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. If I missed any formations in particular you want to use, hit that like button if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button if you're around here. We're getting very close to 1800. Actually, I'm recording this in advance, so we might hit 1800 before it goes live, but we'll see. Thank you very much for all the support on the channel. Really look forward to FIFA 23, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.